There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone is a science fiction thriller television series written by Rod Serling in 1959. This series can be watched in any order, having plots that do not collide with previous episodes. Each episode is made not only for entertainment, but to convey many messages related to societal issues. Serling's primary audience is teenagers to young adults. However, each message is appropriate for anyone in society. Season 2, Episode 6 is called The Eye of the Beholder. In this episode, a woman named Mrs. Tyler is in the hospital with bandages covering her face after her most recent facial reconstruction procedure. No faces are shown throughout the entirety of the episode until the final reveal of Mrs. Tyler's face when she gets her bandages cut off. The way she is described by the doctors leaves the viewers to believe she is a monstrous creature. Two of the nurses talk amongst themselves about the state of Mrs. Tyler's face, as one says, "If it were mine, I'd bury myself in a grave someplace." When Mrs. Tyler's bandages are cut off, it is revealed that Mrs. Tyler is no monstrous creature at all, and is actually quite beautiful, but the doctors claim no changes have been made to her face. This is definitely a plot twist, especially when the doctors' and nurses' faces are revealed as well. The doctors and nurses all look very similar, having deformities and pig-like features, making Mrs. Tyler's complexion vastly different from their societal norm. It is clear that Mrs. Tyler lives in an ethnocentrism society, meaning the pig-like features are superior to what our society labels as beautiful. The message of this episode is simply saying beauty is an idea made up through others' views. In today's time, we are often stuck comparing ourselves to others, especially on social media platforms. Everyone has felt different at one time or another, so the episode can easily be related to the viewer's own life. The audience is able to sympathize with Mrs. Tyler by the way the doctors are talking about her being disgusting and how she wants to be accepted and not have to be covered up. Beauty isn't supposed to be one particular image in one person's eye. This is why Serling's use of this episode works perfectly in depicting how beauty is actually held through many different views, instead of a single one. The saying, "beauty is in the eye of the beholder," means beauty does not exist on its own, but is created by observers. The Twilight Zone has been viewed for over 60 years and still conveys relevant messages, even in today's time. Rod Serling originally wrote this content in the 1960s, when Marilyn Monroe was an iconic figure and was seen as a picture-perfect lady during this time. Mrs. Tyler looks very similar to Marilyn, adding more emphasis on the message using reverse roles than what the viewers would have expected. Using an actor that looks like the spitting image of Marilyn Monroe is not the only ironic feature in this episode. At the beginning of the episode, one nurse offers another a cigarette. If this were a modern-day television show, it would be incredibly ironic and unusual for a nurse working in a hospital to smoke a cigarette. In the time setting of this episode, it is not uncommon for everyone to smoke because they did not know the information we know about tobacco use today. This minor detail adds a sense of reality to the content. Though this is a science fiction series, Serling adds details relating to the real world and real time, giving the show a more realistic feel to it. Mrs. Tyler shows fear of being sent to live in a ghetto. A ghetto during this time was a place for people that were different or seen as less than the typical person in society. This is a real term, and Mrs. Tyler would have lived in one of those areas in real life. This allows the viewers to empathize even more with Mrs. Tyler. The fear shown through Mrs. Tyler and the term ghetto makes a twist on the plot more effective and puts a more logical appeal to it as well. The Twilight Zone faces societal issues with a science fiction twist, making it more appealing and entertaining to the viewers. Overall, this series uses different rhetorical tactics to get the message across more sufficiently. With the use of logos, ethos, and pathos, Serling can successfully keep his viewers interested in his work by appealing to their logic, emotion, and ability to persuade. Without the use of these strategies, Rod Serling's message wouldn't have as great of an effect as it does.